In this episode, you'll discover how to coach the finish so scullers have room to tap down before feathering. It should not be frantic, splashy, or messy.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back. And this week, I'm answering a question that came in from Helen Tonmara. I wrote on the recent coaches newsletter a question. If I was your coach, what would you want me to help you coaching? And she wrote back, as my coach, I'd like your help in improving my finishes for scullers, finding the room to tap down at the finish before I square, rather than tap down and feathering being a frantic, splashy and messy affair. What a great question, Helen. Thank you so much. So let's kick straight into the things that you can do as a coach. And of course, if you're a sculler, you can self-coach yourself to do this as well. Start with the correct setup. Sit stationary on the water with your blade squared and feathered underneath the water so that the top surface of the blade is level with the surface of the water. Where are your handles? How high up your chest are they? Have you got a gap between your handles of between 1 to 1.5 fists width? That is how you ensure you have a room to tap down. If you lean back too far, you'll find your body is at an angle and your attempt to tap down can't happen because you've got to slide down the front of your body. So move your foot stretcher a little bit towards you to give yourself more room. Don't lean quite so far back, and you should then have a little more space to tap down. What you don't want is for your handles to go past your side ribs. So you don't want them too wide and you don't want them too close together, because otherwise you can't get out of separation. You can't get that separation at the finish. Check that you can sit with the blades level in the water with a straight line from your knuckle to your wrist to your elbow. This is about the height of the oar locks, so that you can tap down. It's really hard to tap down if your wrist is bent, cocked, and your elbow is lower than your wrist. So that's the first thing to do. Have you got enough room in the setup to actually tap down and get the oars out of the water and get them square above the water without having to feather them out? So you've got to make sure that you can clear the water surface with a square blade. Now let's move on to drills that will help you coach your scullers at the finish. The first drill that I recommend is the stationary stability drill. At the second stage of it, you tap down and then feather after taking the blade out square. Now, I will say that there are videos for all of the drills that I'm going to mention today. They're available to anyone who's in the Coach Mastermind group. It's a free joining resource. You can just get it's a private list on YouTube where there are individual super short videos of each of them, demonstrating them clearly and explaining them in text and in words. So stationary stability drill, step 2, helps your athletes to tap down first and then feather. Step 3 is tap down, feather and straighten your arms. But it's really important that they learn how to do this without anyone else sitting the boat for them. The next drill I'm going to suggest that your athletes do is a pause drill at the finish. Now, we do lots of pauses or single stroke drills. I like to do this one, particularly with people who find finishes a challenge, because it helps them to check that they are actually finishing the stroke at the right position. So you pause at the finish. You take your oar out of the water, feather it, and then drop it back down so it's resting on the water surface. The reason for this is that when your blade is feathered and on the surface, your handles are at exactly the same height as they should be right at the finish before you take the blade out of the water. So that stationary position that we checked in the first step of this, getting the setup. That helps people then to know how high up their chest they're actually rowing to at the finish, so that in the pause, the athlete can look down, check they've got that straight line, knuckle, wrist, elbow, that their elbows are coming out so your forearms are approximately at 90 degrees to the shaft of the blade handle. And then from that position at the pause, you then tap down. Yes, you're tapping down with feather blades, but that's okay. Take a normal stroke. And I usually recommend you do 3 strokes and then pause. And of course, the goal in the consecutive strokes in between the pauses is to get your handles to that same place at the finish before you tap down, so that your blade stays fully covered under the water and you finish with the handles up on your lower ribs, or for women on your bra strap approximately, rather than finishing down with your handles down in your lap. The next drill I suggest is the J curve drill, which again helps to encourage the tap down before feather. And lastly, while the athlete is actually rowing, I think you as a coach can do a few other things. So in continuous rowing, get them to firstly check their handle heights at the finish while they're rowing. So you can just look down, or you can feel, does this bit at the root of your thumb actually brush your shirt? If it doesn't touch your shirt, are you still coming to the correct height, or actually have you pulled your handles down into your lap so that your blade, instead of staying buried to the finish, comes progressively out of the water so that it's not actually holding on till the very end? The second thing to do is to say to your crew, hold on to the finish for 1 centimeter longer while you're still rowing. And that helps them to keep that pressure on the water and to feel the push right through to the very last second when they tap down. So those are some suggestions, Helen, for your crew. I hope that you can all improve your finishes as scullers. And in fact, the vast majority of these work pretty well for sweep as well. You'd have to adjust the finish setup. You'd have to adjust where your handles draw to. The straight knuckle, wrist, elbow still holds for finishes in sweep, although the forearm position is somewhat different between your outside and your inside hand. They're not flared out like in sculling. So have a good one, and please let me know how you go trying to teach that. Till next time.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.